Einen wunderschönen guten Abend, liebe Damen und Herren. Herzlich willkommen beim Winzertalk im Kölner Weinkeller. Heute mit der Tenuta di Ghizzano. Eigentlich hätte heute die Ginevra, die Geschäftsführerin, da sein sollen. Die ist leider verhindert, aber wir haben einen wunderbaren Ersatz. Die wird sich gleich vorstellen. Vielleicht eine Kleinigkeit noch vorweg. Wir hatten kleine technische Schwierigkeiten. Diesmal lag es nicht an uns, es lag an YouTube. Darum ein bisschen später heute online live. Aber now I'm switching to English because I think then you will understand more what I'm saying. Welcome. Thank you for your time. Who are you and what are you doing? That's my first question.
So nice to meet you, first of all, and I'm so happy to be here with you. I'm Luciana from Tenuta di Ghizzano. I'm the right hand of my manager, Ginevra Pesciolini. I work here since 1999. And so I would like to introduce you our estate.
Yeah.
Because that's amazing. The Tenuta di Ghizzano, it is one of the oldest farm in this area. Tenuta di Ghizzano is in south of Pisa, in Tuscany, of course, near Volterra, San Gimignano. Maybe I hope you know these two places. And it is an historical estate, but it is also one of the most innovative estate, in my opinion, because the Tenuta di Ghizzano, it is totally certified organic since 2008, but also biodynamic.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's yeah. Why was there a particular reason why you changed from, I would say, conventional winemaking to organic or biodynamic?
We want to focus everything on quality and on natural products. We don't want to use pesticide. We want to preserve what the soil gives us.
Yeah.
And so it is, and for sure, my manager, in my opinion, should demonstrate that it is possible to produce excellent and wonderful wine without using chemical pesticide. That's amazing. And in total, imagine in Tenuta di Ghizzano, we have 280 hectares.
218?
Yes, in
or
total.
18? Oh, okay.
It's
quite big. That's quite big.
But just 15, 18 hectares are dedicated to the production of wine. 15 hectares are dedicated to the production of olive oil. We produce also olive oil. 100 hectares, more or less, for cereals. And a few years ago, we started to produce also pasta and chickpeas and sprouts.
So you are really traditional, actually, because you are mixing.
Yes,
you are not only focusing wine. You're doing everything. Do you also have animals, or do you only do agriculture?
No, not at the moment.
Okay.
Not at the moment. We don't have animals. No,
yeah.
But we produce inside in the state our stuff of products, the organic products, and then we spray them in autonomy. So, yeah, in total, the production in terms of wine, it is 80,000 bottles per year. We focus the production in red wines. The biggest quantities is the Ghizzano red represents the biggest quantities for more or less 40,000 bottles. And then we have Veneroso, 20,000 bottles. And then Ambro, 5,000 bottles per year.
Wow.
Niche and boutique wines. Yeah. We have a white wine, Ghizzano white, 15,000 bottles per year. And then at the end, 2 years ago, we started to produce also amphora wines.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
A new project.
Yeah, it's nowadays it's quite common to would say to first experiment and then implement those kind of wine, because I think there's a particular wine market for this style of wine.
For sure.
I'm not sure if it's growing now. I think the growth, the big growth of the natural or this amphora wines, I think it's slowed a little bit in the recent 2 years, I would say at least here in Germany, but there is definitely a valid market for this one. We talked about the wine, and I think we start with the first one, with the tasting. The Il Ghizzano Rosso. Yes, let's have it.
IGT Tuscan Coast, vintage 2020. So the Ghizzano Red, it represents our fruity, easy taste wines. It is made with 95% of Sangiovese and 5% of Merlot. And usually we use a selection of grapes coming from the youngest vineyards, so 15 years old, more or less. Because usually the young vineyards, they give us fresh, fruity taste notes. The Ghizzano Red fermenting stainless steel, and then it continues the maturation in cement vats. It spent 8 months in cement. After we bottle it, and it spent other 4 months more or less in bottles before the release date.
So there is no wood in this red wine.
No wood, no wood, no.
Yeah, I like when I have a smell. I like this kind of, I would say, slightly not cooked, but really full ripe sour cherries, and it's for me, and really what I love about this wine. It's not that I would say simple. Maybe is a bad word for that, but it's so multi-dimensional. You have this cherry smell, but you also have a quite a smoky, earthy impact. More this kind of dried herbs kind of stuff, and with the sour cherry as well. So there's really much going on in the nose.
Okay. I agree. It's a very nice one to drink every day.
Yeah. Over the day. That's good.
All day.
Yeah.
It's traditional Tuscan day wines.
And I think in Germany it's the all the bosses do not like to see when the stuff is drinking over the day. so the part of drinking is more on the evening or in the afternoon in Germany than over the day. Yeah, unfortunately.
But it's a very nice wine to drink as for lunch, maybe.
Yeah.
If you want to have a nice glass of red wines and you want to enjoy a glass, as the Ghizzano Red is perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And consider that we started to produce the Ghizzano the first vintage was 2004.
Oh.
Now we are tasting 2020.
Yeah. That's quite a story. But
the history of the cellar, the wine who represent the history of the cellar, for sure it is the Veneroso, because Veneroso was the first wine bottled in Tenuta di Ghizzano. The first vintage was 1985.
1985.
Yeah.
Wow. So this is I would say the next one we are tasting. We're doing it in several minutes. So this winery was founded 1983 or something like that, or
okay. The family Venerosi Pesciolini arrived here in Ghizzano in 1370, and in Tenuta di Ghizzano we produce wine since many centuries, of course, but in terms of bottling, the history started in 1985. Because in 1985, Pier Francesco Venerosi Pesciolini, the Ginevra's father, decided to demonstrate that this area is so excellent for excellent wines. At the beginning, for sure, the production was very limited for 5,000 bottles.
Yeah.
But now we have 80,000 bottles per year.
Oh.
Only, and for sure, ecco, probably we may produce more, but we are not interested in quantities. We focus everything in quality.
Yeah.
That's our philosophy.
Yeah, absolutely. What I personally like about the Il Ghizzano Rosso, the nose, it was much more, let's say, much more earthy. There's cherries, the thing going on, but on the palate, it's so elegant with this typical, I would say, more leathery components of Sangiovese, with this really crisp acidity, which is really juicy, and you're really looking forward for the next sip because it's so mouth-watering. With this Rosso, it's very, very well made. I totally agree with your lunch theory about this wine, or all over the day drinking theory, because that's absolutely the wine you're looking for.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Great. Then I would think, we decided to have the 16 for taste. When we're talking about vintages, just to finish the last one,
because 16 was an amazing year.
And I was quite curious how this wine tastes now. How was actually 2020? So what can we or how would you categorize the 2020 vintage in Tuscany?
2020 vintage. But in 2020, we had a regular spring and a good distribution of raining. So the wine, as archived, it was good in terms of vegetable balance. Without so we didn't have particular problem during the fermentation and the maturation. So it was a nice and balanced vintage. So few raining in June, they had the development of the plants for sure. And the months of July and also half August without raining, they helped to make development and then the ripening of the grapes. So beautiful and regular. So a nice vintage.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And you really felt the balance. I think sometimes when you think about vintage like 14, which are more cooler, you have this was
complicated. It was a little bit more complicated. But I think 14 we demonstrate to obtain a good wine.
I had a few weeks ago the 14 Rosso, and it showed beautifully. It showed beautifully now.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Okay, but in 14 we reduced the quantities and we focused more and more in quality. And I remember that in 2014 we bottled only more or less 10,000 bottles of Rosso, and not 20. But it's easy, not to demonstrate to be a good winemaker when everything fell well. But Ginevra wants to demonstrate to be an excellent winemaker, especially when the harvest is not so easy.
I had once an winery visit in Austria, in Wachau Valley, and I met their winemaker, and he said to me, and this is one of the most iconic winemaker sentences I ever heard. He said, "There is no bad vintage. There are just lazy winemakers." And maybe okay, there are really difficult vintages. I definitely would say that way. I say, okay, good, making a good wine of this vintage is very difficult, but at least you will, when you really put everything into the harvest and the year and all the vineyard management, and you get at least some decent grapes, I would say, where you can say, okay, it's a good quality, maybe not the excellent quality, but a very good quality. This you can achieve, I think, with but it's very difficult. So Rosso 16, start with the Rosso. You told us that that's the iconic wine of Tenuta di Ghizzano. And what's so special about it? It's again Sangiovese, I think.
Rosso, it is DOC, Terre di Pisa. And it is made with 70% of Sangiovese and 30% of Cabernet Sauvignon. And it is made with a selection of grapes coming from oldest plants. And usually we ferment the Veneroso in open wooden tanks, 3,000 liters each, open on top. And then after the Veneroso spent 17 months in old oak, in tonneau, after we bottle it, and it spent another year in bottles. So we need 3 years before to have ready a vintage of Veneroso. And it's a wonderful wine to drink with food, red meat.
Yeah.
If you love, maybe.
I love absolutely the smell of this wine. It has this, compared to the other one, which was much more, I would say, more easy to, or much more accessible in the nose, which much pronounced. This one is much more subtle, I would say. It's very defined. You really have depth also in aromas on the nose, and it's still this wonderful sour cherry, but 30% of Cabernet also, of course, make an impact. So it's much more darker. It's much more plummy from me, from the aromas, and you get some leafy character, some green leaf character for me, which comes definitely from the Cabernet Sauvignon. And this really gives another dimension of structure on the nose. And I love to swirl the wine, and then really it's getting more intense, and it's now wonderful to drink, I would say.
Yes, in my opinion, it represents what I imagine as an elegant wine. A nice wine to drink.
Yeah. You have from the Sangiovese, the juiciness, the Cabernet Sauvignon gives the structure, the backbone.
Yeah.
And
more time it's spent in bottle, better it would be.
Yeah. And the cool thing is about this wine, it's not heavy. It's good, it's structured, it shows shoulders, but it's not, would say, with the heavy tannins, heavy oak.
Yeah.
This does not exist in this wine. Is this also maybe I misheard it. Do you put this wine in wood, or do you also do cement?
No cement.
Yeah.
It's fermented in open wooden tanks.
And open wooden tanks.
And then it spent 17 months in old oak. And usually we use the tonneau, 500 liters oak.
Oh, yeah.
So
it's wonderful. I really like the elegance of this one.
So the oak to obtain help us to arrive to obtain an elegant tannin, and so an elegant wine.
Yeah. Wonderful. What's your opinion on the or say it's 16? The vintage is, I would say, quite remarkable in Tuscany overall. And how would you categorize this vintage, and for how long you can leave this wine? I would say in
2017 was a really wonderful year. As I remember, I don't know, in the past, 2007, maybe a special vintage. And I in my opinion, in few years, it will be a wonderful wine, because for me, in my opinion, the best time to drink the Veneroso, maybe also the Nombreux, it is when they have from 7 years, when they are 7, 8, 9 years old, because Veneroso need to spend time with bottles. For sure, 16 is very, very drinkable now. But if you enjoy the Veneroso now, I tell you, imagine in few years.
Yeah, you really taste the potential of this wine.
Of course.
And I can repeat it. The thing about this wine is it is well structured, and it's not heavy. It's wonderful balance, and it's really. I really want to drink this wine, but I can't because I have to drive today a little bit after our interview. So I'm skipping it for tomorrow evening.
Imagine a glass of Veneroso with food. Imagine a steak, maybe something else.
Yeah, that's a really perfect match for every kind of, I would say, red meat, even game or something like that. When you think about deer or wild boar or something like that, that's a wonderful combination, because
that's a wonderful combination.
Because both wines have something, I would say, traditional to it. It's not that polished, modern style, international style, Sangiovese, Cabernet, this kind of super Tuscan thing, which is often for me too mainstream, too polished, too round, too perfect. This one has an edgy character, and I really like this because this represents, I would say, the region, and also it really shows that Sangiovese isn't, for me, isn't an grape which is very good when it's so round. It has to be edgy, it has to be leathery, it has to be those dried herbs components, it has to have the sour cherry. And with all this kind of, it's much more complex than often those big names with big brands, this Bordeaux blend, something like that. That's, I would say, it's nowadays, it is a part of Tuscany, but it's not the part I personally prefer.
It represents our terroir.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
If I may suggest something, if you want to drink a wine of Tenuta di Ghizzano, first of all, Veneroso, because it is the history of our state, it represents our terroir, it represents our philosophy, everything inside.
It's wonderful.
It's a wonderful wine.
Should we move to the Nambro?
Okay, we move to Nambro. So Nambro 2018. Nambro, it is a wine made with 60 Merlot, 20 Cabernet Franc, and 20 Petit Verdot. The wine, the Nambro, it is the wine. So it is the result of Tenuta di Ghizzano research. It was made in 1996, the first vintage. And the Nambro ferment in oak, and then it continues the maturation in barrique. 18 months in barrique, so 225 liters capacity, and then 10-12 months in bottles. The name, it is the name of the founder of the family, Venerosi Pesciolini, lived in the epoch of Charles Great, 830, who lived in 830. Okay. So, and that's why on the label, I try to show you better, but I don't know if you can see behind the name, we paint a chevalier on the horse in order to remember the founder.
Okay, good. So if you don't have a bottle right now, you have to buy now one, and then you can have a look. What I personally like, and for me, Petit Verdot is such an underrated grape, or often I would say not thought about grape, but it gives a certain character to every Bordeaux blend. And you definitely smell this floral, this violet, lilac impact, which has the Petit Verdot, and it's actually quite hard to get them ripen, to get Petit Verdot ripen. But I think you have enough sun to get Petit Verdot fully ripe, and this wine definitely needs actually some air. That's why I'm swirling a lot, because it really develops after a few minutes in the glass.
In the glass. That's why always I suggest to open the Nambro 1 hour before.
Yeah.
If we have the opportunity, of course.
That's lovely. That's the thing about this kind of styles. I would say this more.
Okay, because Nambro born, because Ginevra, Venerosi Pesciolini started to help his father in 1995. And in 1996, she decided to start to produce the number wine, and she decided to demonstrate that it is possible to arrive to obtain a Tuscan taste wine using French varieties.
Yeah.
Because the number it is made with Merlot, Cabernet Franc, and Petit Verdot. Very, very unusual grapes. Yeah. No Sangiovese inside. It was, in my opinion, a very, very wonderful decision, because if you taste the Nombrot, you immediately understand that it comes from Tuscany.
Yeah.
Because the terroir, the microclimate, the influence, the taste of this wine. And it represents the protection, the very, very cool one.
It's very interesting because normally I'm not a big fan of those kind of blends, because for me I tend to say when I want to drink Bordeaux blend, then I drink it from Bordeaux. That's my opinion. But when you're tasting the Nombrot, you don't feel the heaviness and this over oaked style, this very, would say, round and luscious style, which is often for me many super Tuscans, where it's too much inside, where it's too much from everything, and now it's super Tuscan, I would say. When you tasting all three wines have the same similarity and this elegance, and this is not this overpowered tannin structure, which is really so, which you say, okay, you need this to keep this wine for 10 years and then it's very good, because before you can't drink it, something like that. No. Of course, the number will benefit from aging. But even now, the current vintage is for me easy to enjoy.
I mean, sí. Yeah. But when Ginevra introduce a vintage in the market, she do this because they're ready, they're very drinkable. So they just have to continue to evolve for sure. But they're very, very wonderful and ready.
Yeah, I really like this one.
For your dinner, for your lunch, for each occasion.
When you let's maybe move. I will let the wine a little bit in the glass and see how it will develop. When we're talking about the current year, how was it? Was it also so dry like everywhere, or how was the current year for in Tuscany?
We didn't have current vintage. It was not so easy because we didn't have raining for more or less 5 months. But the grapes stayed well, so no attack of ills on plants for sure, because the temperature and the climate was really dry. But we was lucky because at the end of July, beginning of August, we had a few rainings, and so the rain helped a lot the maturation of the grapes, and so we had a good harvest. Maybe I can tell you not big quantities for sure, because the grapes, they were
tiny.
But at hand, and you will see what we will do with the vintage 2022.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect. That's
Wait.
Nice. No. I work for the company Kölner Weinkeller now for 1.5 years, roundabout. So I was quite curious because I actually like to drink Tuscany, and I would say your winery was one of the first actually I tried there, because we had some bottles open, and then I tried them, and I was quite impressed, and now when I'm tasting the older vintages, the 16 or the 14 Veneto Rosso, it really shows the quality of the winery, and also how you develop from each vintage, because I think, of course, you want to improve every vintage. That's, I would say, the normal thing about a winemaker, to try to do everything better, and it's super interesting how your wine's getting more and more precise, and without losing the traditional character of the winery. And this is a wonderful thing to follow. And I'm quite curious how the 2022 will taste.
It's very, very important for us to control the harvest, each harvest in terms of quality. That's why in Tenuta di Ghizzano we continue to do the harvest by hand, and then in the vinification cellar we double check the quality of the grapes on 2 different sorting tables, and we choose the grapes. We choose the production by hand, the grapes. So at the end, we are sure that only the best quality they will arrive in our stainless steel.
Yeah.
Imagine that we continue to press the grapes by feet.
Wow.
Wow, like in the past.
Yeah, like in the past. Wow.
In order to don't stress the grapes, in order to just to press a little bit. We don't want to cut the skin. We have to preserve the skin of the grapes, for sure, if you want to arrive to obtain a good extraction of tannin. And so and then during the harvest, it is very, very important for us to separate everything not only just per kind of grapes, but also per vineyards. And just at the end of the 2 different fermentation, we start to do the blend of the different kind of grapes. In this way, we are sure that each kind of grapes arrives at the end of the alcoholic and malolactic fermentation in a perfectly. And so.
And now maybe jumping a little bit from the winemaking out to the vineyard, and I would say one of the questions I always ask is about climate change. So you are at the winery since 1999. And so you've seen some vintages, you experienced some up and downs, I would say, from heat waves and so on and so on. And do you feel that there is, or I would say, what are the effects of climate change in Tuscany?
The climate's changed a lot in the last years. And so what we do in Tenuta di Ghizzano is to try to follow this change. We decided to, so that's why sometimes we do the pruning of the plants a little bit later. We try to change, so we try to control the life of the plants, helping the development of the grapes using organic and biodynamic systems, because we try to do the best in order to prevent this climate, because the climates change a lot. Here is dry and dry and dry. At the moment, everything is feeling well. The plants, they are feeling well. Okay, but probably it is necessary to change something.
Is it only the wine, or how about, I think cereals, when you're growing cereals, is also quite effective, but how about the olive trees? Is it because they are, of course, they're much older, they're much I would say they're much more resistant, or are they not really?
No.
Okay.
No. At the moment, we don't have big problem with the olives trees. But okay, imagine in Tenuta di Ghizzano we have more or less 4,500 olive trees. I think they're enough. And we turn the pruning of the olives It's impossible to do the pruning of everything, no?
Yeah.
So we divide, and it depends on the areas. So we don't have old olive trees. So we do the harvest using a machine also.
The machine, yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. But do climate change also affect the olive trees, or are they more resistant?
No, they're more resistant.
Okay.
The olive trees, the life of the olive trees is different. If the olive trees sulfites, because the climate doesn't have, etc. Maybe at the beginning it start to don't produce olives first.
Okay.
After maybe if it has difficult, he lost the leaves, and then he died. At the moment, we don't have this kind of problem.
Okay.
Finger crossed.
So at least at least the olives will grow in future. No, but I also think that in terms of grapes and climate change, the winemakers or the wineries will adapt. On the one hand, they can look into the books and look, okay, what did not grow a century ago, because this is what actually many wineries do now. More also in Germany and also in Alsace and in Austria, they are really open the historic books and looking, okay, 100 years ago this grape did not get ripe, let's try it again, because normally there is a reason why it was planted 100 years ago or even older, and then disappeared. And I think even Sangiovese is still a grape which is very resistant to the effects of climate change, because when you are thinking about Sangiovese or all the different clones of Sangiovese, and this is now really something I would say really for the winemakers, because all these different aspects of the different clones, and when you're thinking about more the southern Sangiovese, which is where, okay, of course, Tuscany is hot, but Puglia and Basilicata and so on is also, it's even hotter. It's even drier. Of course. And there are also grapes and I would say also Sangiovese which survives there and producing amazing qualities. Yeah. So
we have now here in Ghizzano we are not so far from the sea coast, so we have a nice influence from the sea air, and it brings us freshness during the summertime and hot temperature during the winter time. So it helps us a lot.
Wonderful.
Really, see.
Yeah, it's and it's and I think also the situation, the location. So this was for the location. The location next to the ocean also provides, I would say, the wines with this kind of freshness, because when you're next to the ocean, it also has this chilling effect always.
Of course.
It's super interesting how the Numbro developed after 10 minutes.
In class.
That's a wonderful one. Yeah, I think I will keep a small part for myself and bring the rest tomorrow back to our company, and so that all my colleagues also are able to taste the wines. And do you have something else to say about the winery, or did you present it how you want to present it?
Okay, no, I just can. Okay, I can suggest to everybody to try our wines for sure, because in my opinion, drink a glass of the Tenuta di Ghizzano wines means to do a nice experience.
Yeah, that's on that I can definitely agree, and I think if the people write an email and ask when they are in Tuscany and maybe they come around, hopefully you will
suggest everybody to come, because we can organize we have a nice hospitality. We can organize wine tasting, but no simple wine tasting. A wine experience that's different, because here comes in Tenuta di Ghizzano is like to have the opportunity to not only just taste a glass of wine, but imagine the family house was built in the 15th century. In front of the house, we have a wonderful Italian side garden. So Ghizzano is a really small village, 200 meters high on the sea level, not far from some other wonderful place like appunto Lucca, maybe Volterra, San Gimignano. So for sure you have to come.
Yeah,
You
Tuscany,
too, huh?
Tuscany is always on my list, but it's the main problem is that I do not have a car. And yes, I can come. I think Cologne, Florence. I think that's okay. That's so.
Okay,
but
after you take a train, Florence to Pontedera, and then.
Perfect. That's that sounds like a wonderful autumn holiday for me. For sure. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Hospitality.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have a face and to face to the wines and not only reading the books and the websites and only talk about what's going on in your estate and what do you do to make it special. And I think you really explained it quite well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the night. Hopefully you also drink in our glass that's perfect. And thank you very much. Und jetzt darf ich wieder ein bisschen auf Deutsch noch sprechen.
Thank you to Osthals. Have a nice evening.
Dankeschön.
Bye.
Bye. Ja, nach dem letzten Mal, da hatten wir leider ein paar kleine technische Schwierigkeiten, geht es jetzt wieder weiter. In 2 Wochen haben wir unser neues Champagnerhaus, Juliette Lallemand als Winzertalk im Programm. Verpassen Sie das nicht, wieder von 19 Uhr bis 19:45 Uhr und ich würde mich freuen, wenn Sie wieder zuschauen. Bis dahin wünsche ich werde jetzt doch noch ein Schlückchen trinken, schöne Adventszeit und wir sehen uns in 2 Wochen. Tschüss.